it's Marek, welcome to MDrives. I'm on my way to BMW as I'm going to test drive new M2. Yes, so the car, which is very controversial, it doesn't look great in the pictures, it doesn't look great on the videos, so I want to find out myself how it looks from the close distance and how it feels when you sit in it. So I'm not sure if I will be able to record the drive, but we'll find out in a moment. So, what do you think, guys? New M2. I tell you what, I think unfortunately this is probably the worst combo in terms of the color, carbon beads, and automatic gearbox, which I don't like as well. I mean, the carbon pack. I think the lights I quite like. The carbon inserts in this holes, I think they are actually not too bad, but everything else, it looks a bit half-odds to me. It's like, I mean, that it just screams half-odds. These fins, they just don't look really well. This is a perfect stone catch. I actually like the new style of the door handles, but that doesn't actually look right. There's a gap here, and then yeah, elephant in the room. M performance exhaust. I think that just this option is $5,000, and I think it just looks horrible. Other than that, yeah, again, these carbon bits are not great. I absolutely love carbon roof. I mean, look at it, carbon roof. Looks beautiful. I quite like the lip spoiler. It's quite aggressive. Apart from that, I wouldn't have any of that carbon. The inside of the car, it's brilliant. The screen, which looks very odd from this angle, actually when you're in a car, it looks brilliant. And the sitting position and everything was kind of spot on, but it feels like a much bigger car. So, unfortunately, I wasn't able to film the car during driving, but the drive wasn't really that long. I did a small loop, and to be honest, that drive was quite good. I was actually pleasantly surprised about some elements of the car, like, handling. It felt bigger. It felt definitely bigger than my car, and it's not surprised because it's based on M4. It felt very spacious with that new screen, and unfortunately, there was much less space at the back than in my car. You could actually see that it's not as spacious at the back, but it's just the design of the cabin, I guess. In terms of driving dynamics, again, I think the car was slower than I expected it to be. After seeing all of these videos where people were saying it's so fast, etc., I was expecting to be a step up from my stock M2, and to be honest, maybe it was slightly quicker, but it wasn't something you could say which would make you say like, oh yes, this is faster than my car. So slight disappointment in that respect. When it comes to gearbox, oh dear, I think that was probably the biggest disappointment. It's not DCT anymore, it's auto, and unfortunately, as great as it was for a normal driving, because it was buttery smooth, for a car you would drive every day, I think it was brilliant. For an M2, it wasn't. There was no emotion. I was changing gears and I couldn't even feel or hear that the gears are changing. It was just too smooth. There was absolutely no feel in it, on the car chassis, on the car body, that the gears are changing like with DCT. So and unfortunately, when I was going down the gears, again, you had significant delay when shifting down, which wasn't engaging as well. I'm not a huge auto fan, as you know, but this was, you know, far worse than the DCT I experienced in the comp. In terms of sound, it sounded actually pretty well, better than I expected, but that's because it had 5 Grand M performance exhaust, which looked terrible. But yeah, at least it sounded decent. I still think it was, you know, quieter than my car, and that's with standard exhaust and a sport cut. So yeah, it's a bit of a bummer. You have to pay 5 grand for something which makes it sound decent. And then in the corners, the car had plenty of grip. However, that was because of the tires. 295, 275. My God, massive tires. Right, actually I arrived at home, so let's continue. The cabin felt actually far better than I thought it will. It had just the sport seats, not the bucket seats, which were very comfortable, supportive. I would be happy with these seats. The curved display, I actually surprised myself because I thought I'm gonna hate it, absolutely hate it. But actually, in a car, it looked quite good, because when you're sitting there, it's kind of surrounding you. It was maybe slightly too big, especially the screen in the middle. It felt huge. The one behind the steering wheel, it's hiding behind the steering wheel, so you kind of see only a part of it, and to be honest, that looked okay, although I'm still not a huge fan of this graphics, but it looked better than it looks, for example, from the passenger side or from the outside, or from when you're entering the car, because then it looks just, it's detached almost, so it just doesn't look good. But from the driver's seat, it actually looked fine. I like the steering wheel, it wasn't too bad, had carbon beads. Interior, I think it's beautiful. It's a huge leap forward from F87, and it feels like a mega comfortable car. Do I want it to feel like a mega comfortable car in M2? Probably not. That's the thing. It felt like being, you know, in a bigger comfortable car, M3, M4. The carbon bits were beautiful, but again, it was just, it was feeling comfortable and big, and I think it's not what the F87 is. It's a bigger car, it's more comfortable car. and it's not feeling nimble at all. You know, yes, it, you know, obviously weighs 200 kilograms more than my car, and it still retains the grip thanks to the big tires. But apart from that, you know, it's a big heavy car. Let's get to the deal, right? Because that was the biggest shock to me. So first of all, BMW offered £22,700 for my M2. Seriously, 22 grand for this M2. Right, so that was the first thing, right? The second thing, monthly payments. With 8,000 miles per annum, £1,000. £1,000 for 4 years. That's 48 grand, 4 grand upfront, which makes it 52 grand over 4 years, with a almost 33 grand balloon payment. And that's on a 66 grand car. So I basically, we spec'd my ideal spec, which actually it's almost bare minimum. The car already comes with head-up display, and pretty much all the gizmos. I didn't want a comfort pack, which would give me heated steering wheel, because that could only be bolted on together with comfort access, which I don't want in my cars. So I said no to that. I didn't want a race pack, which increases your maximum speed, pointless in UK. And obviously all the carbon pack, that's like 10 grand, I think 9 grand. Again, I think it looks horrible. I think the car looks better without it. So I went for red car with manual gearbox, £66,090. That was the total for the car. But if you take it on PCP, which is 8.9 APR now, it works out like you're paying basically 85 grand for this car. I mean, £1,000 a month, that's probably GT4 money, because they're holding money better, so you can get better deal on it. So unfortunately, yeah, it's just not something I would go with. I don't value that car that much. I think the difference between this car and the new car is it feels completely different, although it is sporty car, you know, the new M2. I don't think it offers as raw experience as this one, especially with all the bits I've added to the car, like, you know, B16 suspension, you know, I've got better steering wheel, yeah, and sport car. I think this is probably deal of the century, this car. And although it creaks, you know, it's got its bits which aren't perfect, I still feel that for me this is the better car. And if I would jump to something far more expensive, when we're talking about, you know, 65 grand, that's GT4, used GT4 price, and I think I would probably go with GT4, unless I at some point decide to go GT4. I don't think this goes anywhere. You know, it's a fantastic car for the price, and I would struggle to pay that much money every month for something which probably would not offer the same experience. Although I think, you know, if you like more comfort, if you like the experience of a bigger car, very comfortable, fast car, it's probably for you. It's a great car, I think, when you drive it. Look-wise, I still got some reservations. I would want to see it in red. I really would want to see it in red, but because in videos, in red, it looks best, I think, out of all of the colors. I would never consider black again. it would have to be some kind of color. You can go with like a matte paint, matte gray, but that's about £2,000 option. So red, it's probably the only option I would spec. So yeah, here you go. This is my thought about new M2. It's a shame I didn't have an occasion to record my drive, but you've probably seen dozens of videos of people driving new M2s. So maybe one day I will have the opportunity, if any of my viewers have a new M2 and you know, would give me a drive or let me drive it for a mile or two, that would be great. Let me know. But other than that, yeah, this car stays with me, I think. Anyway, so this was my 15-minute thought on the new M2. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you shortly in the next one. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Do widzenia.